Hello, Smokin' Joe here with another in the continuing series, Circus Setup. Today we're going to talk about getting the most out of your gasoline-powered setup on your Big Bird. So whether you're new to gas or you're just planning on flying down low and slow, let's look at the things we need to do to keep the systems working reliably. Alright, let's get right down to it and look at the tank plumbing. You must make sure to use a gas-compatible stopper and Tygon tubing. Tygon is usually a transparent yellow tubing. For 3D, we love to use the solder-on fuel barbs and safety wire, just to make sure we don't get a flame out in that critical position. Vibration is the enemy. The big gassers have considerably more vibration than their glow counterparts. Foam mount everything, put blue Loctite on all your screws. I even like to use locking nuts wherever I can. Motor mount, servo, arms, wherever I can. Next, let's get into that engine compartment. Secure everything so there's no chafing. Generous use of zip ties, Velcro wraps, sleeves, and I like the J-Tech clamp locks will keep everything tight and in place. Remember, there's considerable heat coming from the heads, so plan your layout accordingly. One of the biggest changes when going from glow to gas involves the electronic ignition. The ignition can emit RF and cause interference. The way to avoid this is to keep the greatest separation from all components of the ignition, including its battery and switch, and the radio system. I also like to use ferrite rings on the throttle or choke servo to reduce any interference and increase range. Remember, always thoroughly range test with the engine running. Because of the vibration and the tremendous loads on the surfaces, use the highest quality digital servo you can afford. Also use quality metal arms that fit the output shaft tightly. Use 440 linkages like the titanium turnbuckles, and take the time to set up the linkages so that your travel adjust of the channel is maximized. This will give you the most torque and resolution on that surface. Alright, we're getting close. Let's get the prop on this plane. First of all, you must use a drill press and the manufacturer's jig when you drill out the prop. Now, after you drill the first hole, drop a bolt in to keep the jig lined up. Drill holes 180 degrees or so apart as you go, and drop in bolts as you go. After I drill the prop from the front, I turn it over and drill the same holes with the jig from the back. After you've balanced your prop, we're ready to install it. Always use the black hardened steel bolts. The prop bolts should all start and turn freely with just your fingers. If you force them with a tool, you could cross-thread them. If you have any tension on the bolts, you could also run a higher risk of them breaking while the engine is running. It's far better to make a hole slightly oversized than to try and force the bolt in. For easiest starting, you're going to want to orientate your prop at 1 to 2 o'clock. Turn the shaft against the compression. The sensor will typically be at 12 o'clock. And bolt your prop on as you see here. Microfastener stocks a couple of items I found to work really well at keeping the canopy and cowl from coming loose. I use their neoprene bonded washers for the cowl. It's not the cleanest look, but after hundreds of flights, your cowl will be tight and intact. The locking floating nut plates work just great to keep your canopy screws from coming loose. A little tricky to install, but well worth it. Baffles are critical if you're 3Ding, and they can be made quickly from 1/8 balsa. The goal is to direct airflow to impinge the front of the cylinder and wrap up and over the head, exiting the bottom rear of the cowl. A max head temp of 170 to 190 is optimal, measured right here with a laser thermometer. And finally, for safety, make sure to use an ignition kill switch. I hope there's at least one nugget in there that'll help you with your big gasser. So we'll see you out at the field, and in the meantime, remember, live, fly, circus.
My best friend Eddie called from LA, said we'd have dinner later that day. I got a feeling, and it's more than a hunch, my poor friend Eddie was that hitchhiker's lunch. Don't